Nearly 10 years ago, Nissan debuted the GTR, and it was a supercar killer. It could do 0 to 60 in 3 seconds and was even the king of the Nürburgring for a short period of time. It raised the bar for performance vehicles, and since then, automakers have made bigger and badder supercars to take this thing down. But every year, Nissan updates the GTR in one way or another, and for 2017, they promise that this is the most significant refresh yet. So let's jump in and see if it still is a supercar killer. Okay, now before we jump into all of the boring changes like the interior and exterior, let's talk about what makes this car awesome, and that's the way it drives. Under the hood is the familiar 3.8-liter V6 that's twin turbocharged to make 565 horsepower and 467 pound-feet of torque. That's paired to an advanced all-wheel drivetrain and a quick shifting but now refined 6-speed dual-clutch transmission. All of that adds up to a very fast car. In fact, it's unbelievable how quick this car is because of how heavy it is. It weighs almost 4,000 pounds. Now, how does it manage to be this fast while weighing that much? It has a lot to do with that all-wheel drivetrain that I was talking about. Normally, the car acts like a rear-wheel drive car, sending all the power to the rear wheels. When the time calls for it, the car can send up to 50% of the power up to the front wheels, and it ensures you have grip all the time. In fact, this thing is so confidence-inspiring, you're going to go through each turn and lay down the power a little bit sooner than usual just to see how this car handles it. And every time, I don't think you'll be disappointed. Now, a major part of that speed equation is this 6-speed dual-clutch transmission. It is fast, but it's not quite as smooth as some of the other units that you'd find, for example, in Porsche's 911s. But it is more refined. There's less bucking, and it feels pretty good coming from a stop and starting up again. Refinement is a huge part of the 2017 GTR. In fact, the car has an active noise cancellation system that makes the car quieter in the cabin. In fact, the cabin has become so quiet that Nissan has actually integrated some sort of digital trickery in order to pipe in the noise from the engine into the car. That's pretty useful. I mean, you can still hear this engine, but you know what? I don't think I'm really sold on the way the car sounds. I mean, if you've listened to the V10s in the Audi R8 or the Lamborghini Huracan, you'll know that those cars sound like something special. So does the McLaren. In fact, even the Porsche 911 Turbo sounds so unique. And how can you forget that supercharger whine in the Corvette Z06? Compared to those other cars, the Nissan GTR just sounds a little flat. And while I'm complaining, I've got to talk about these brakes. In a performance car like this, you need carbon ceramic brakes, especially when you have such high limits and you're going to intend to want to take this car onto the track. The normal brakes in this are pretty good for everyday driving, but I don't have much confidence on how they'll fare on the racetrack. But you knew when you clicked on this link that I was going to say something like, this car is so fast and it handles great. But what you wanted to find out was whether you can live with this car every day. And there's some interesting things to consider when it comes to the Nissan GTR. For example, this car doesn't come with all of those nice convenience features or driver assists. There's no blind spot warning information, there's no lane departure warning, there's no forward collision warning, there's not even adaptive cruise control. And in a 6-figure car like this, I think that's necessary. Okay, so it doesn't come with all of those features, but you know what? You can forgive it because the car is so fast. And the car handles so great. I wasn't expecting a car this big and heavy to handle like this, but that all-wheel drive system just digs in and claws at the ground and keeps you planted. Okay, so first of all, the GTR has been updated on the exterior, but very slightly. You'll notice the GTR wears Nissan's new V-Motion grille, which is bigger than before in order to help cool that beastly 3.8-liter V6 engine under the hood. The new front end also features new matte chrome accents and flows elegantly to the rest of the car. While the GTR still looks as blunt as a sledgehammer, these little touches help soften the blow. It may not be as pretty as the R8 or Lamborghini Huracan, but the GTR still cuts through the air with a 0.26 coefficient of drag, which is about the same as a BMW i8 hybrid. Now, airflow is an important part of the GTR's exterior design, and you notice the side sills, air vents, and other flared elements help direct air around the car. I love the way this thing looks, and everything on the car seems to fulfill one of two purposes. It either makes the car go fast, or it makes it look more badass. The biggest upgrades are found inside the car. Now in the past, the GTR had a pretty laughable interior, especially in comparison to the Porsche 911 and Audi R8. But now it's been completely redone and it looks great, especially thanks to this dashboard that's wrapped in Nappa leather. It's a bit cleaner in here as well, as the old GTR had 27 buttons and switches on the center console, and now that's been pared down to just 11. The interior updates help the GTR feel like a more modern product, but it's not perfect yet. There's still no Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, which is a huge bummer. I mean, what year are we in, Nissan? Does anyone over there use a smartphone? On the other hand, the seats have been updated to be far more comfortable on longer rides, and Nissan has moved the paddle shifters off the column and onto the actual steering wheel, so you don't have to go hunting for them when driving on the track. One more thing to mention about the new GTR is its price. It starts at over $111,000 US, including destination, which is an increase over the last year model and still a bargain when you consider that R8s and Porsche 911 turbos cost much more. So, after all these years, is the GTR still a supercar killer? Heck yes it is! Did you see how fast this thing was? But here's the thing, all those supercars come with fancy features and high-tech gizmos, and the GTR just doesn't have those things. So if you don't care about adaptive cruise control or say smartphone integration, then the GTR is going to be perfect for you because it's still faster than all those other supercars on the road.